Yo, what up? This is Splodem Down. Wow, let's play the thing. Press space. It says press space. It was actually like it's actually kind of hard to read that, considering how much that font is just like zooming in and out. And okay. I'm just getting right into it. And I really did get right into the lava there. And just like last time, you could just hold down this. It's a Z and arrow keys, and there's a shield, which apparently can translate into a missile. You just hold down Z, it just shoots a ton. There are blobs and there are blood drops that act as projectiles, deadly projectiles. The shield obviously acts as like a kind of a single life, so it's not as surprising as before. It's actually, I think, hard to dodge some of these projectiles, especially because these yellow blocks blend in with the background. I don't know if that was a power up. I forgot to get there. So obviously these blood drops I can shoot down, but everything else you can't. I think something that... Okay, here's a clock. Oh, it just destroys everything, and I think it makes me faster. And I'm gonna assume that this is like an infinite game, just like Roadkill Bonanza, because I don't know what the objective is. I don't think it was really conveyed in the description of the game. This blue blob guy. It's hard to get at first, and then they eventually start rotating. I see there's a laser guy, and now they're crosses, they're X's. So something that's pretty obvious about the entire theme of the game is that it's pretty much industrial themed. It feels like we're in a forge for weaponry. Makes you wonder why, I don't know, weapons are conjured in this way. There's not really a story to this. Clearly, you just like immediately put into the fray. Like there's more story in Doom Eternal than there is in this game, which I don't know how often you can really say that. I mean, I guess you can say that pretty often about probably any sort of Flash game ever. Okay, almost every Flash game ever, because we all know like some Newgrounds classics have as like a story, right? Deep, meaningful choices that matter more than in a game like Heavy Rain. Because I always want to compare my Newgrounds Flash games to Heavy Rain. Look at this. How am I supposed to get this? I think obviously this game has a sort of industrial setting. I already said that, but I also want to get back to it is what I'm trying to do, right? I think the soundtrack itself, which is just a single track of sound, also does have a sort of industrial vibe to it, a little bit acidic, reminiscent of acid techno maybe. I haven't listened to acid techno in a while, so can't confirm or deny right now. But it does feel that this is something I can imagine someone who has listened to The Downward Spiral by, of course, Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and they pretty much try to make something a little bit more dance music inspired, a little bit more, I mean, less about whatever neurotic subjects that Nine Inch Nails discuss, and about actual shooting stuff, forge setting. Oh, this is a big guy for me. Finally, this is my high score. I'm a god gamer. I'm gonna say it like just like everyone else. I'm a god gamer. I'm the only god gamer. I'm a better gamer than No Tail and Flash combined. Anyway, I'm going to unfortunately say this. I think there's just a little bit less. I think I really like the idea of the goal that was present in the last game in Explosive Tomato Fro. I guess I'm not gonna say Tomato Fro. This game just feels so much more aimless, and maybe there's an actual goal. Let me check. So first of all, this is the page for the first version of Splodem Down. This was released December 2nd, 2010. And as you can see in the images here, Blat blat, explosion, bang, wham, smash. Holy Jesus. This was an early version of it, and it was eventually moved over to the V2, the version 2 page, because apparently it got hard to update, supposedly. I will get back to that later. Destroy waves of mini bosses, maybe reach 2 bosses, abstract and colorful. Okay, so there's a second boss I could try to get to. Shoot him down, do not hit the fire, dodge bullets, or they will push you. Oh, is that what they were doing the entire time? I thought they were actually lethal bullets, not non-lethal bullets. I'll use your shield as a powerful weapon. I don't think you should be using the shield as a weapon. I think it's better to have the second life. Collect stars after destroying. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there were upgrades when enemies were felled. It's made in Game Maker. Complete development stage confirmed. Mild cartoon violence. This is less violent than, I want to say, Roadkill Bonanza 3. I think that's generally agreed upon. So going through these comments here, this person's name is Orange. That's how you know this is an early adopter, because how many people can secure the name Orange on their preferred social media site? Really cool. I played it on Yo-Yo Games, and this is how I'm just learning that a lot of these games weren't on Game Jolt before, but they were on Yo-Yo Games. They're not only Game Jolt, but this website as well. Even though this is a great concept with great graphical effects, it lacks somewhat with gameplay. You could have added some more obstacles and different kinds of enemies or friends. Great job. This person is calling it homosexual, apparently. This person is calling it spiffy as well. It's the same person. Wow, this game is good. And that's where Jake himself says, yeah, it's an old version. Find the latest at Yo-Yo Games. And here's actually the latest. It's the latest version. Music by Dungeecount at Newgrounds. If you really want your acid techno with a little bit of a post-industrial influence in there. This is a shoot 'em up with a dirty mechanical style, focusing on visuals. The actual game is pretty simple. Blast through all the machines, enemy bullets push you, and you must not hit the fire below or the saws above. Okay, now I understand. I thought the bullets were, again, lethal. Oh wait, speaking of which, I just realized I missed some of the comments here. Love the graphics. Played on Yo-Yo Games. I wonder why they have to say they played on Yo-Yo Games. That's a good one. I give that a thumbs up. A simple concept, well executed. I agree with Chris. Good graphics and gameplay. I'll get to the graphics. Enjoyable game, but only got a 4. I assume that's out of 5. The main reason is the lack of the end things for playing screen is preferable to just an endless stream of enemies. Okay, and considering this is the first version of the old version, I trouble updating it. Yeah, considering this is the old version, one of the first games that was posted on this profile, I think that's where you can tell where the end credits or the ending started to come into play afterwards, perhaps. And looking at the comments on the new page, this game is really neat. It would be nice if it kept track of high scores. I don't even know who hosts high scores, because what kind of website, right? This was released in October 2nd, 2011. You would need a website to keep track of high scores for what, like more than a decade at this point? I mean, it'd be nice, but I understand why that's not feasible. That's to hold that sort of data for that long, especially for a game that only 3,400 people have seen and only 10 people have liked. So Jelly Gal, back at it again. Very cool graphics. The game itself is pretty fun too. I like the concept that enemy bullets don't directly kill you. I'm not the biggest fan of shmups and haven't played too many, so I'm not really one who can accurately judge this, but it's a pretty fun game. I don't think the music is too fitting though. I think I disagree about the music. I agree with everything else. I mean, there's not really anything to agree with, but more so that my experience matches hers. What I'm saying though is I think the music is like one step away. The music feels like title screen music, and the genre is, I think, 90% correct. You just need to take it like maybe one step farther into something maybe a little bit more atmospheric. Like get a little bit of a post-industrial atmospheric drum and bass in there, and I think you actually have something much more fitting than the current song. This game has jaw-dropping visuals, very impressive. It's very hard to lose, but hey, that's forgivable. Plenty of variety to keep you hooked for a short game. So this person's clearly a better gamer than I, because I've been losing all day. And here are actual updated visuals. You might be familiar with this, depending on what you've been doing for the last 10 minutes. So it is at this point that now I realize I should retry my hand at the game, because now I understand how the game works. I wanted to go into this like immediately, unlike last time, unlike the last few times I've been doing this. I was too rash there, a little bit too headstrong. No, I'm not gonna finish it. I'm not gonna finish the reference. Honestly, it actually really does change. Like, just knowing that you can walk into the bullets. I thought this was like Tohu tier bullet hell, and and now that I think about it, is Tohu the inspiration for Vampire Survivors? I mean, obviously not, but it, like, considering the whole bullet heaven coming, or basically inspired by bullet hell, it makes you wonder a little bit. Or does it really? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you don't really think about it. I think about it personally, but like only right now am I thinking about it. So I don't really think about it. I think secretly the clock power up there is not good, because you just can't control. You can't use your fine motor skills. I'm using like a keyboard, right? I don't have the controller. How do I say, like, sensitivity? I can't summon only inches of power. I have to go with a full foot whenever I click an arrow key. So unlike I think a lot of the games prior, there seems to be less to discuss. I mean, in a sense, like, I could theorize, right? I could theorize that I am on a foreign alien planet that revolves around heat, just heat. Well, it's like a lava planet, right? How else is there constant lava just boiling at the bottom? But also, why are we shooting at it, right? Like, I have to assume so much. I have to assume so much of where I am, where I'm going. Why are these enemies after me? But is that necessary, right? Do we always need a story? As Matthew Matosis once said for the game Portal 2, one of his biggest criticisms is that he really did not like the fact that there was exposition on GLaDOS. That's power. Those blobs are powerful. He didn't like the fact that there was exposition on GLaDOS, because to him, he just wondered, why was he listening to this? I believe I'm quoting him correctly, too. It's been, of course, that's like a very old review, right? And at this point, I think all the words you could possibly say about Portal 2 have been said and done. Or have they? I mean, well, we're still making Half-Life 2 video essays in the modern day, right? We're still talking about Skyrim for whatever reason. It's too fast. This is actually too fast. It's good and bad. It's like the watermelon, now that I think about it. If anyone, I'm probably the only person to ever like make that connection. And I know I say that a lot. I'm like the only person that maybe played these games all on the road and to make these observations. Whatever. So to get back to the task at hand, Matthew Matosis comments on how Portal 2, the sort of exposition that is provided in the game, he felt that he didn't really care for it. That he would rather... Man, that is hard to dodge. I should be circling around it. Okay. No, I'm actually going to finish what I'm saying. Matthew Matosis comments on how in Portal 2 there's exposition, and for him, he just doesn't really care about it. He would rather just play more of the puzzles. Kind of like in how Portal 1, a lot of the atmosphere, which I assume you've played Portal 1, a lot of the atmosphere was perhaps brooding and a little bit empty, so to speak. It definitely wasn't full of life. which I think Portal 2 definitely just try to show that Aperture Science is like full of life, right? It tries to you walk through the turret manufacturing areas and how there's a process of quality assurance that is done. And so similarly, this and so the point is like there's a little bit of a contrast between 1 and 2. I think what Matthew Matosis was trying to get at was like, why did the writers or the developers, whoever tried to direct Portal 2, think that this was something that was needed? Why did we need to understand who GLaDOS was? Why did we have to know the story behind Aperture Science? And it's maybe a little bit recently that now that I've started this game, that you can kind of see it, right? Do we need to have the story beats written out for us upon everything that is given, that is portrayed on screen? I think to also quote another video essay dude who is very controversial, Joseph Anderson comments on how games like Dark Souls and Sekiro just don't. Maybe he didn't say it about Sekiro, but he says it about Dark Souls, that they don't really have a story, and yet everyone loves those games. Everyone loves Dark Souls 1 and 3, and 2 is the one you don't talk about. I'm not sure if it's the same case for Bloodborne, in that if people, or if the story there isn't as comprehensive. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. What is for certain, though, is that... Oh, okay, got it. What is for certain is that stories are not everything. Oh, whoa. That dude is slow. Slowing it. Stories are not everything, right? Gameplay obviously comes first, unless you're Disco Elysium and the story is literally the gameplay. This is hard. This is actual Tohu tier stuff I have to do. So also, I actually think this game, if one could not tell by the amount of times I've had to restart, I think this game is actually pretty hard. Definitely take some time to get used to like the system. Like I almost just fell down there, and there really are, like, I guess some, to quote the description, there are some mini bosses. Okay, now that I think about it, the whole system of the bullets not damaging you but basically attempting to force you off screen actually really reminds me of Super Smash Bros, which, depending on your position, maybe if you are a little bit more of a traditional fighting gamer, you might dislike the system. But I think for most people who are not so traditional about fighting game systems, right, they really like... I did not see anything that hit me there. They really like Smash Bros. Like, they really like the Smash Bros system. Pretty much you have a percentage, and the percentage is like how likely you are to just fly off the stage. I know that's not exactly what it is, but it's kind of something similar to that. And so it seems like this game is trying to take the same idea. What if bullets did not harm you but were simply ways to get you off stage? And when you get off stage, when you get out of bounds, that's when you lose, or that's when you lose a stock. In this case, you just straight up lose. Oh wow, that lasts for quite a while. Oh, I should not waste it. And they just keep going. They're just still on screen. Oh, and I got for the boss here. Hopefully I don't mess up. And I messed up. Yeah, this game is hard. I think it's undeniably hard. The fact that I know that games are meant to... I think Northernline recently said this for actually Cook Serve Delicious, I believe is the name of the game. It's like the first 10 times of that game, the cooking game, it feels really difficult. It's a little bit too much. But on the 11th time, you feel like you got it down. And I mean, if one is not aware of how that game works, it's basically you push a bunch of hotkeys to lay down food and ingredients and to cook them. You're basically, to quote Northernline once again, it's like you're hitting a calculator. It's like you're pushing buttons on a calculator just to cook a burger or some sort of roast beef. I think this game doesn't quite have that down, in my opinion, right? Skill issue, I know. but it feels like I'm not getting that much better at the game. Maybe it's because I'm like talking at the same time. I just don't. There's just nothing entirely that has really clicked for me. I guess I'm learning about the game's mechanics, right, bit by bit. Like I'm learning how this beam works. These power ups. Yeah, that guy is right. I clearly could understand that dude's like pattern much better. I think these moments in between, these interludes, I think could be done faster. It's taking a little bit too long to get to the next stage. I think it'd be nice to just like immediately go next. And really, I think that's I think kind of the extent of the game. There's not really too much else to say. This is Splodem Down by Pixel House, but is it really by Pixel House? Yeah. Or no. Or yeah. So this is basically the point where I'm gonna try to review it. So before that, I forgot to bring up the last game, the score on Glitchwave, and yeah, people do not. It is a 3.31 out of 5, based off of 3 ratings. Those are the ratings down there. Yeah, you got a 2 out of 10. You got a 5 out of 5, or 5 out of 10. I'm sorry, 5 out of 10. Got a 4 out of 10. I said that right because I think I said 2 out of 10. Whatever. And then you got a 1 out of 5. That's I'm gonna let that speak for itself. Then you have Splodem Down. Then there are 2 of these. The first game is a 1 out of 5. All right. I mean, maybe that's just that guy's opinion. That's single user. Then you got the version 2, and it's kind of went down. It's a 1 out of 5. Or 0.5 out of 5. I'm thinking 1 out of 10 is what I mean. That's a conversion. 1 out of 10. 0.5 out of 5. Yeah. I'm not going to give it a numerical rating, but I will admit the game is... I think the game could use some tweaking. So mechanics, bullets hit you, equals out of bounds, equals you dead. Resource management, shield, and power-ups, which I don't think is really too much of a resource to manage. I think there's no reason to ever get rid of your shield. Power-ups disappear pretty quickly. Fun? Yeah, I think it's fun until you if you have the skill for it. If you don't, you restart a lot in all caps. Because, I mean, you saw how much I restarted. I think if I concentrated more, or if I was like more awake, I could see myself actually being more on top of my mechanics. But that's just not the reality for me right now. I'm not on top of my mechanics currently. Although I guess if I were to enter like a game of Team Fortress 2, I could do okay. Graphics, ease of use, and appearance. So far of the 4 games I've played, this has the best graphics. Graphics. Ease of use. Simple controls. Yeah, I think that's about it. See, simple controls, easy to use. Appearance, a bit messy, naturally, because of all the bullets on screen. And you know what? Let's leave it like that. I think it's symbolic of the separation that we normally cause between words like that. Soundtrack and sound design. So I mentioned the track equals like acid techno with a bit of post-industrial influence. Don't quote me on any of that. Who made this again? Dungeecount. it made it. Story and writing. Wait, hold on. Whoa. Sound design. Sound design. Okay. Hold on. Because now a new font is invading my Word document. This is a Word document, right? So, sound design. The enemies don't have too much, just explosions, I think, when they dead. The ship's bullets are pretty bleepy. Bleep, bloopy, bleep, 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 bleep. Like the album Kid A by Radiohead. And of course, ship explosions. Story and writing. I touched on this. There's none. You're just a ship. You're shooting at tools, power tools, and those power tools. It's kind of, it reminds. What I just thought of is like Nier, right? You're just shooting a bunch of robots, but like, do the robots even know what they're doing? They just seem like they don't really show emotion. The enemy robots. I mean, yeah, I know they show emotion like in the game, like later on or at a certain point, but I'm just saying, like in general, when they're shooting those red orbs at you, it just feels like, they're just doing their job. Is it repetitive? Yeah, if you are like me and you are not good at shoot 'em ups, shoot in emupes. Where does it stand in a wider scheme? Reminds me of shoot 'em ups plus Smash Bros. As I mentioned, pretty much Smash Bros. I don't think this is a completely satisfactory answer. I guess like it has different mechanics for shoot 'em ups, right? Because usually it's like one bullet hits you, you get one stock taken off. It definitely tries to do something different with enemy bullets. Where does it stand amongst the work of the developer? Best graphics and visuals so far. I want to say the gameplay not as comedic as Roadkill, and do not clip that out of context, please. Not as comedic as that game and Rainbow Kitty. I think that's just a given, right? I don't think anyone's laughing at lava and industrial steel beams flying around shooting what looks to be Play-Doh. I'm gonna say, what's the other game I played? It was that tomato game, right? Yeah, it was a tomato game. Tomato game. IMO did the shooting thing better. Yeah, I think the tomato game just had a much more straightforward system that was still enjoyable, but also allowed you to command it much sooner than this one. Then again, I am not good at shoot 'em ups. And of course, better projectiles than the kitty game. Has the same difficulty as the Roadkill game. Also have to avoid obstacles. Similarly, that might be just me being a little bit redundant. But yeah, that's what I think. I think you can kind of see it all, the sort of pattern a little bit. Or maybe you can't. The pattern being that there's definitely a focus on just simply shooting projectiles between the tomato game and this ship game, Splodem and the Splosive. If that didn't make if that wasn't obvious, right? That sort of wordplay. I think this game so far is definitely more. It's definitely more of the developer straying away from the comedic formula that they've set up. And I understand though that this is not necessarily the fourth game that they've made, but rather the first. If this is correct, I mean I don't have the entire history like laid out in front of me. I don't know what's on Yo-Yo Games. I don't even know if I look up Yo-Yo Games. Like, hold on, let me check. So I got Yo-Yo Games. This is. I did not expect to learn that they were game maker dudes, and they got acquired. Okay. So unfortunately, I'm not good enough to beat the game, but I think I ultimately got the idea of what it was trying to do. I understand it's unsatisfactory, but I just feel I want to keep it. I want to keep this like concise, right? I want to keep everything, the entire flow of the events provided through this video, I guess, to be real quick. You know, not to drag it on because I'm not quite sure like what more I can say about the game. The game just doesn't have too much to build on in the same way that the past three have. The past three have had like actually a lot of elements and influences come through. With that said, I also understand that I didn't like completely finish Roadkill Bonanza. Depending on your point of view, I didn't even get to see the end credits of the Tomato game. But I feel that in the sort of not in the long run, but in the short run, because in the long run, I think I should just finish it. But in the short run, I think it's better to just keep things going. I can't think of a way to extend it. So unfortunately, just know what I'm trying to say. There's no victory screen, unfortunately, because I really want to speed the. I don't want to drag out this video, which ironically, me saying all this has dragged out the video. But yeah. GG's good games. Of course, I'm looking forward to the fifth game. I don't have it in mind because I'm trying to keep it a surprise. So GG's, good games.